over there at the tripod?
I'm whispering. I'm whispering so he can't hear us. Hold on, guys. He can't hear me.
You know what would be an awesome interview to have up on the site? Any of the ones from Friday night at Colorado Springs Comic Con. The Robert Englund one would have been a great one to have. Well, I'm just, just reminding some people.
If we're going to talk about him,
I'm just reminding some
let
people.
him hear you.
Hey. This is a tryout over here for. Half a beer, huh?
Are we recording?
Half a beer.
It is episode 207. We got it. We did it. One take. Of the Nerdcast on Project Nerd, brought to you by Geek Garage, geek-garage.com, to check out awesome geek vehicles all across the country. That's right. We are at Boulder. I waited for you to drink it, so it would be part of the introduction.
Was it a dramatic drink?
Boulder. Hold on. We are at Boulder. Oh, Boulder Film and Brew Festival at Asher Brewing. Look, we're at Asher Brewing. Can't you see by the label that I'm covering up? We're at Asher Brewing.
All organic beers,
by the way. All organic. You mocked it.
I didn't mock it. I said also gluten-free, and you told me I was wrong.
Well, yeah. Beer's
I
not
thought
gonna be
organic was gluten-free.
No, you're wrong.
They're universal terms.
Wrong. You're wrong.
It's Boulder.
Wrong.
It's Boulder. If it's not gluten-free, nobody's coming here.
If you are catching us on our podcast network, you caught just last Thursday the episode of I'm Not Famous, which also starred these three personalities.
Oh, I was like, didn't.
Oh, wait. Do we do it again? Just yes?
Oh, I don't.
Just yes. All right. So Dr. Jessica, Kerry from I'm Not Famous, and myself, a regular on the Nerdcast, and I'm Not Famous, and Diving Deep, and probably a lot of other stuff that we don't need to talk about because I do too much, and so it's all half-assed done and just terrible. But anyways, this is a podcast, guys. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Hi.
I feel very special. This is the flagship podcast.
Is the flagship podcast
of Project-Nerd.com.
Has been around for 7 years now. This podcast has 22,000 listeners.
And we all know why.
2001 for you new person that's joining us.
But for Jessica, who doesn't know, why do we have that many viewers?
Because, well, normally it's listeners, because then they don't see our faces.
Yes.
If it was viewers, and normally Tyler and Adam are on there too, we wouldn't have that many, because the three of us.
But this is all in Portuguese, because of the other Nerdcast.
Oh, there's another Nerdcast in Brazil. And so we get a lot of hey to our Brazilian folks. They love us because they search for the Nerdcast.
Donde está el baño? No? Is that not Portuguese? Portuguese?
Well, no. First of all, it's not Portuguese.
No.
Second of all, why are you asking where's the restroom?
I don't know. It's the only thing I know in Spanish.
The only thing you know. No,
that's all I feel like I need to know.
La biblioteca.
Oh, jeez. That's a great one. No, none of our viewers or listeners will understand that reference.
All right.
Do you know that reference?
Shout. This is our Nerdcast.
Yeah, do you know where
that's
from, though?
I'm talking over him right now while they're having a conversation.
No, it's from Community. Did you ever watch the show Community?
I've only watched part of it.
Oh, but that part, Troy and Abed in the morning.
Nobody can hear you over, Kerry.
What's up? What do I do?
What's
Nothing.
up? I'm talking to your wife.
Oh, yeah?
Your wonderful wife that you never mention on any of these podcasts, Kerry. Donde
Is that
está
what it is?
cerveza?
Oh.
Where's the beer?
See, I just need to know cerveza. But then after I order one, I need to know where the bathroom. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
We already found the cerveza. So actually, in the end, you were asking the right questions.
I know.
Because we're going to be at a brewery for 8 hours today. We already know where the beer is. The next question, logically, is where's the restroom?
Right.
Well, I know it's right next to us, but it's the podcast joke. For those that aren't paying attention, we do have Kim Offset, obviously Kerry's wonderful wife, and we do have our wonderful cameraman, Ryan, who refuses to be in front of the camera.
Refuses. Profusely.
There he is.
There he is.
There he is. Perfect. Welcome to the show.
And maybe you'll hear this if he did his job right. I don't know. You'll
How
see
many
us.
beers has Kim had? Because
You should have turned
That's what I'm telling you.
She's being she's just hyped up over
the logo.
She's just hyped up over Crazy Taxi. So
yeah.
We have a Sega Dreamcast right over here on with a TV and everything. And that's right, Crazy Taxi, Tony Hawk 2. I believe there was a Sonic game over there. Obviously, every Sega system has to have a Sonic game. Was it Sonic 2?
I don't know, but Sonic 2 is my favorite.
Well, that's the only thing on Sega.
Was it?
What else was there on Sega?
There we go. Crazy Taxi. Is that the one you're holding up? Of course it's
Oh, my
the
goodness.
One. So every time we're like, hey, Kim's like, yeah, I'll go run and grab food. And we're like, okay, hey, Kim, are you going to go grab food? She's like, hold on, I'm dropping off a customer right now. Because she's driving her taxi. She's driving her taxi. The only customer I saw her with, she, like,
She
threw him
killed.
into a wall. Yeah, like she
Yeah.
like murdered the guy. Like, should we even talk about that? Because that's like now we have evidence of it. So when the police come by to ask us about that, I mean, I
he got to where he wanted to go.
I don't think she
You
got
know.
paid for it. Though.
Was that his destination, or was it?
It was
before
a
his
funeral
destination?
home. It was a funeral.
It was a funeral. So he got
So-
to where he needed to be.
Yeah.
Maybe not where he wanted to be,
I was.
but where he
That's
needed
where the
to be.
fair wanted to go. We don't ask questions. We just drop people off.
So I'm talking a lot here. So Dr. Jessica, why don't you tell us? So you joined us as a guest on I'm Not Famous, and now you're joining us as a member of the Project Nerd team. You're
I am.
an excited member of the Project Nerd team. Excited. That's required. It was in your contract. So tell us a little bit about this. How excited you are to be a part of Project Nerd.
I'm very excited. It's a really cool thing to be a part of, and
All right,
I
you
don't know, I
fulfilled your
feel-
contract. Good job.
okay, cool.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
You
I
keep
feel.
talking.
And
I
you
feel
dress the
kind of-
part. Like you're like, oh, cool.
I was pretty
mean,
stoked
I am.
about. I mean, obviously, don't kick your leg all the way up on camera here, but there's the the Harry Potter shoes here, Gryffindor, and we were talking about. So the Nerdcast covers where I'm Not Famous is more just general talk, where you guys kind of made fun of me the whole second half of the episode. Just gonna
Correct.
put that out there.
Correct.
Just gonna put that out there. The Nerdcast is more about current events in pop culture, and we were just talking about before we started recording. Broomstick League, so it's like a Rocket League style of Quidditch. Quidditch just came out, and pretty excited for this. You guys act like I've had half a beer. It's like noon. Where's the food truck though? That's the problem. Is I haven't had any food, so I get loopy. Maybe I. am
Nobody listening or watching
Maybe.
this believes that.
That what?
There's no way you skip breakfast.
I did skip breakfast.
No.
I don't normally eat breakfast. Have you seen that? There's the meme out there of like me, and it's like 6 a.m. runs like or goes to gym for like 2 hours. Breakfast eats like greens. Lunch eats a salad. Dinner eats like just a meat and a vegetable. 7 p.m. and it shows the guy just pouring M&Ms into his mouth, and I'm like,
That's you?
That's pretty much
Yeah.
me. That's
Yeah.
I stay healthy till 7 p.m. So between 7 and 9, I could be unhealthy.
Yeah. It doesn't do any. It has no effect. After 7 o'clock, it's no big
yeah,
deal.
your
Trying to-
stomach says no.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
fine.
I need a
It's fine.
second
You
too.
can eat as much as you want.
I
you
need
talking
a
about?
bigger cord so I can actually like not like be like hunched over and showing all of this down here.
So we're at
This brand new Project
he's like-
Nerd skate shirt that's
So where
available
we
on the
at?
site.
Asher Brewing Company, right?
Oh
Is that
wow!
what you did?
Right in front of her face. Right in front of her face.
So we are at Asher Brewing Company, though, here in Boulder.
Well, what are we here for?
We already shared what we're
Did
here
we?
for. Yeah.
The
Did we do it
Boulder-
right though? Did we do the right
Boulder
one?
Film and Brew
Yeah,
Festival.
she's got it. That's why
Yes.
Jessica's here, because the rest of us do it. We don't.
I have to think about
Right.
it though.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of double letters.
We had Xander at Netherland Film Festival.
Yep.
And he kept wanting to say Netherlands, like Netherlands, right?
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
So he
but
kept going.
he did say it. It
So
wasn't
he-
like he was.
For the first few, and then he finally got to the point where he go, the Netherland Film Festival.
There was a lot of syllables.
Yeah. He was definitely.
More syllables than needed to be.
Exactly.
This is a cool spot. I like this. This
It-
is, they hooked us up, man. We got a cool little, painting behind us. We're right near the bar, close to the bar, in your counting.
I'm
Are you
letting you
counting
talk.
syllables?
No, I'm counting.
Oh.
Were you counting how many seconds I got to talk?
Netherland Film. No, I was counting. So
You're
they
like,
have-
you have 5 seconds.
they
You
have-
can now talk for
You're out
5
of time.
seconds.
You're out of
And
time.
we're out.
Hello, we're being introduced to new people.
Yes.
We have good time. Oh,
This is that's awesome.
from which one?
Tough
Tough
teeth.
Tough Teeth.
The
That's
coming
the
of age-
crocodile one.
The
Yes.
coming of
Yes.
age story.
Yes,
Is it a crocodile
awesome.
or alligator?
It's crocodile.
Crocodile.
The snout is rounded. It is a crocodile. The snout is pointed. It's an alligator. Look, I am not scared of many
Wow.
things. Listen, I'm not scared
Wow.
of many things in this world, but I ain't fucking with no crocodiles or alligators. And so I know which ones. Look, crocodiles.
If
can
you don't
grow-
like either one, why do you care which one has the rounded
because
nose or not?
crocodiles can grow to be 10 feet long. 10 feet. Like, can you imagine running from
So
a
why
10-foot
are you not
crocodile?
more
Right, yeah.
just scared of crocodiles?
And then people are like, "We'll just climb a tree," and I'm like, "Here's a
They can climb.
Here's a video
They can climb.
of them climbing a tree."
Really?
Oh, yeah. You didn't know
trees
they can
too.
climb a tree?
And then they're like, "Just run
Oh, yeah.
zigzag, just run zigzag," and I'm like, "Yeah, because a crocodile, I'm obviously going to outrun after I'm eating all my sweets from 7 to 9 p.m. Right?
Well, why are you running at 9 p.m.? from
'Cause there's a crocodile chasing
But why
you.
is it where you are eating M&Ms?
Because I am in Florida.
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 Is this going to be the whole running theme? He's just going to be counting
was it Family Guy?
how
She's
many
like,
syllables?
My name is Florida.
No, they taught us because I actually lived in Florida. So in school, they would teach us how to outrun an
They
alligator.
teach that in school.
Yeah. And they tell you not to go climb because they can climb.
So how do you?
You zigzag.
You zigzag.
Yeah.
Because look,
Because their eyes are on the side of their head. They can't see you.
Also, they can't turn very fast. I don't think.
Correct.
so the thing is that they turn, and then they supposedly, if you zag back, they continue to zig.
The zig is where you need the
Supposedly.
zag. You can't zig
Supposedly.
all the way. You got to zag a little bit.
But we're talking about a creature that knows how to grab like antelope drinking out of the water. Like they just hover under the water. They're smart. They're not stupid is what I'm trying to get at here.
Have you ever seen the show called I Shouldn't Be Alive?
Yes. That's an amazing
What's
show.
it on?
Animal Planet?
Yeah, it was something like
it's
that.
something.
But it's just people telling their
so
story
people
of
get attacked by
why,
animals?
what happened to them, and how they shouldn't be alive.
Yeah.
But
There's-
spoiler, they're all
They're
alive. So they're telling you the story, and you're
Well,
like,
they're telling the story. I
Right,
mean,
Yeah,
right.
but this one guy, I don't know where they were, somewhere in Africa, and this guy was trying to go get help, and he was in the water, and he finally got out of
Nope.
the water. No, this is the best part. He sees something in the water, so he gets back in the water to look underneath the water to see what it was. This is literally how he tells it.
Mhm.
And he got attacked by a crocodile, and the crocodile started to do the barrel roll, and somehow he got away. And then he
How?
ended up
Once
by
they put
some
you in the barrel
wildebeest.
roll,
I
well,
don't know.
what? It's not a barrel roll. What is it really called?
I don't know.
The death roll.
Okay.
Death roll,
It is
right.
because you're
death
not
roll.
supposed to
well,
survive
he,
it.
well, somehow he got away. I don't know.
Because
Obviously
Steve
he got
Irwin's
away.
ghost came out and like attacked it.
Because partly,
know.
because partly the death roll is because it pulls you underwater
Right.
too, so it
Yeah,
drowns
yeah.
you.
So it drowns you.
Yeah.
So you quit
I
struggling.
think maybe because it was too close to the shore.
surface.
So he couldn't
I
get
don't
him
know.
So it's like
I don't know. This
he's
guy
like
was
pulling him
so
underwater. It's like I
dumb.
can't get this guy underwater. So the crocodile's back telling his friends the story
Yeah.
on their animal,
Yeah, on
their
their-
human planet show,
Which is
Human
also
Planet show.
how the human survived.
how my
Spoiler.
how dinner survived.
They
how
survived.
Dinner survived on the human planet.
Oh,
And the
Spoiler.
crocodiles tell show. So I had him in the death roll, and I'm trying to get him underwater, and he just won't go under. And then I realized, oh, we're in like 6 inches of water here. So I loosen up my grip to try to bring him into
Yeah.
deeper water, and then he just makes a run for it. And at that point, I noticed a wildebeest, and I was
No. He zagged.
Oh, he zagged.
zagged.
So
Half-
I had him.
half down.
I had him, and he zigged, and I zigged, and then he zagged, and I just couldn't zag.
it.
I just couldn't zag.
Dang the zag. Always. I
This is a Zag support. He's wearing a Zag support
Yeah.
group shirt, right?
Yeah.
Too the crocodile, because
Yeah.
they obviously have Zag support groups. It's like I don't, but he goes at the end of the day, there was a wildebeest there, so I just kind of hid under the water till he got thirsty, and then I ate him.
yeah.
So, and then after I ate dinner, I went and poured M&Ms in my mouth from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Right?
Then I went and ran.
Then I went.
Then I went
then
ran.
I ran the next morning.
I shame ran.
Actually, he swam.
He
The crocodile
swam.
swam.
They don't. Do they really swim?
Yeah, they.
Or they float? They float.
No, they swim.
Their
They
tail, like-
swim
Yeah.
fast too.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, and it's like ridiculously fast. Like, so they talk about on land, they can run, and I'm just spitballing numbers. This I could be completely wrong here. Something like they run like 15 to 20 miles per hour. You're gonna look it up for me? Thank you. And in water, they can go twice fast. So that's why they say don't go back in the water, because even
Well,
though they're super
That's
fast
my
on
favorite part of
land-
that story. Is like,
No, it's like-
you know what? I wanted to
No, I
investigate,
know.
and I went under the water again. Is this an anaconda or a crocodile?
Right.
Nope,
Oh,
it's
I
a
saw
crocodile.
something moving, so I should go investigate.
Which one of
even
these
more.
beasts is going to kill me? I want to see what's going to kill me before I die. So when I get to heaven and they're like, well, what killed you? I have an answer.
Yeah.
I mean, I was okay with the death roll. I can get out of that, but an anaconda like choke, definitely not happening.
Okay, so when he looked under the water, did he go?
He did.
Like he lifted the water to look
he,
under it?
He for sure was.
So when
Because
I'm
you know the water
envisioning
is
this
so
whole story-
clean in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
That's
always
why. That's
white.
why he had to look under it.
ooh.
So 15 to 18 miles per
That's
hour land.
close.
I told you, I've
Yeah.
done my research on these things.
I mean, I think there's still some that go probably 19 to 20. So I feel like you're still okay.
I could be, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Because that's the average.
and it might feel like 19 to 20 when you're getting chased by a
Probably.
10-foot crocodile.
18 is the average total. It's up to 11 on land in short bursts and up to 20 miles an hour.
So up to 20 in water and up to 11 on land, with 15 to 18 being the average.
Wow.
So I had I was
You were
Your
right.
numbers
You were
were
right.
within. Yeah.
So
And you
first
had
of all-
double.
so
But
first
as
of
he
all-
said, like he's been like investigating this because this
Yeah.
is like the traumatic fear.
This is my fear. This is my fear.
Is there a
Seriously.
reason you have a fear? Do you have like? An
Do we not
experience?
just talk? No.
Because in
there's-
Texas and Colorado and Kansas, prime conditions for both alligators and crocodiles.
First of all,
Especially-
in the Bay Area, you mock me. Everybody would say that. Oh, yeah, because in the Gulf of Mexico, I'm like, no, it's not just Florida. Into the Louisiana, over to the
Yeah.
Houston Gulf, there are alligators and crocodiles. And people are like, no. Okay, maybe alligators, but no crocodiles. And I will pull up a map, and I will prove you
We're
wrong.
already
I've
fact-checking
done it
all of
like
this.
10 times. I've already done it 10 times. There's no Donald Trump over here. These are facts coming out of my mouth. These are facts, not lies.
I love how like you just went. So Jessica, what is your like irrational fear? Since Iggy is now launched in to now a 30-minute debate on
First
crocodiles
of all,
and alligators.
rational. What's your rational fear? Because I'm clearly
No, I'm saying it's
sharing
irrational because in Colorado this is never going to happen to you.
because you don't go to a pet store and see those little alligators in there,
No, those are called caimans.
and they'll still
And-
bite you.
No,
But they
Dude,
won't
come
kill
on.
you.
dude, a caiman.
So if
Caiman's
they bite,
different.
so they bite your arm off, and you can't
A
get to the
caiman
hospital,
cannot bite your arm
don't-
off.
You don't tell me how to live my life.
You might get the worst thing, especially as a doctor. You might get a horrible infection because their teeth.
And then die from infection.
yes, but that would be a rational
you're-
fear, not
Look,
he's
I
gonna bite
played
my arm
enough.
off.
I played enough Oregon Trail to know that you can die from infection.
You can die from a lot of things on the Oregon Trail.
Is that your irrational fears? You're going to take a trail,
The Oregon Trail.
ride in
Just the Oregon
Oregon
Trail.
and get dysentery?
Okay, no, now I'm actually
Dysentery.
interested.
Is that- that's what I always
You
got.
died of
I always
dysentery.
either I never
Terry
made it
Crews.
across the river because I'm like the one like you can go around and do all of it. I'm like no, I'm going through. I'm always going through.
And then it like kill. It
And it
took your
always
ox.
kills you,
Like
yeah,
it takes your ox
exactly.
in your
Yeah.
wagon. You
Yeah.
lost 2 children.
so I
and my
never
dog.
finished the game. But what's your rational fear?
Before that, I
Yeah.
had a bird that stole my child on the Oregon Trail.
What?
That's not possible.
On the Oregon, which the like old school?
No,
Because I know Oregon Trail.
new
Yeah,
is
yeah,
cool.
app-
I was-
the new
yeah,
app,
okay, I was
yeah,
gonna
like
say.
a bird.
I was gonna say, I don't
came
remember
and,
that.
Flew away with my child.
There were no birds in the Oregon Trail when I played it.
I want to know what kind of bird this
They were
is.
they were
I don't know.
crows
I
and they
don't
ate my
know.
body.
It was a crocodile flying a plane pretending to be a bird.
On the Oregon
Check
Trail.
it. Fact check it.
Crocodiles are now aviaries.
What's your fear?
I hate spiders, but the thing I hate more than spiders are house centipedes.
They're
Wow,
just
that's very
gross, or
specific.
are you scared of
Oh,
them?
That was
no,
very
I'm
specific.
Terrified of them.
Are those the ones that have like a bunch of legs?
They're poisonous.
What?
You know, like centipede, because you know what, like
I'm just thinking of the game in my head right now, playing Centipede.
human centipede.
No,
no, no.
What
like
was
the
it?
game
Is it human
Centipede.
centipede? Is that what it was called, right?
The movie.
The movie.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not
It
afraid.
wasn't
of
like human millipede. It
No,
was
it
human
was
centipede.
human
Okay,
centipede.
just making sure.
So Centipede has 100.
iPad.
100 legs. Is that what Centipede is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Century mark would be
Yes.
100.
Perfect.
So
Gotcha.
very good.
Yes.
Getting there.
They're
But why like that?
so.
Like
I had a
I
really-
understand
I
alligators
had
and
a-
crocs, but like you're like these little bugs.
No.
So,
Oh, they're
so
not.
let me tell
they're
you
not
what.
little.
I'm
They're
going to tell you
not
what.
little.
I'm going to put a centipede here, and I'm not trying to knock your fear here or anything. Not
I
trying to
will
discredit.
start crying.
But let's put a centipede here, a spider here, and a crocodile here, and tell me which one you can't stomp on and walk away. It's the crocodile.
That house centipede's gonna run and chase after
But
you.
one's
Have you
poisonous.
ever tried to kill a house centipede?
Yeah.
They chase you.
They keep going after you hit off like 10 of their legs, 20 of their legs.
no,
You got to
the
get
bug-
all of them at the
10,
same time.
20? 30? Just keeps going.
They grow back. And it's poisonous too. Is that what you
It's
said?
poisonous. They
But do they have
will
teeth that can pierce like
randomly,
humans?
If it's big enough.
Do they have teeth that
I
could be
don't
just
know.
like that was
Do they
his
have like
question.
100 teeth?
Do they
I
have
don't know
teeth?
what it is.
I don't really know. I just know that they.
See, because Iggy
I
flushed out his
had-
irrational fear. You're like, listen, I heard about them once, I
No,
saw them once,
no.
and that's it.
No,
my
you've
apartment.
seen 'em
my
in Colorado.
apartment. No, in Chicago when I was in school.
Oh.
There was one that was about this big on my wall. I have a picture of it. It's disgusting. You can
Why do
see
you have
all
a picture
of
of it?
Because I was fascinated, and then it started to run, and then I got scared of it.
No,
and then
I got
started
it now.
crying.
I'm sorry. So when I connected the dots of that, the sentence you said. So when people listening to it, they heard you say, it was on my wall, and I have a picture of it. So I'm thinking, you
I know
have a
you-
picture.
Oh,
no, no, no.
You have a-
I took
why
a
would you
picture
hang a
of it.
picture of this thing you're afraid of on your wall? Like that's
To
what I
help
was
me
thinking.
get over
Right,
the
okay,
fear.
yeah, to help me. I wake up every morning.
Every
and I look at that
morning.
picture, and I have
Today
to face
is
it
today is the day.
for 90 seconds.
Today is the day that I get over my fear of this thing.
God, this
Oh,
sounds-
It's
Yeah,
like
no.
it's on like the bathroom like thing, like the bathroom mirror.
I
Like
can't do it.
today is
Oh.
the day. Today
Well,
is
I
the
put
day.
it in the bathroom because if it scares the shit out of you,
No.
finger guns. All
Dad,
right.
is that a dad
Oh,
joke?
Dad joke.
Dad joke. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they. The only thing that's.
But
like,
again,
made
another
me
thing that's not
cry
in
from
this state
fear.
that you live in,
Centipedes are in the state.
There are centipedes. They're just
but
not as
not
big.
poisonous millipedes.
No, millipedes
Poisonous
aren't.
millipedes.
Who said millipedes?
Millipedes
Uh,
aren't poisonous. At least not
but
that I know of.
centipedes are.
Millipedes are huge. 'cause
I've
they
never
have
seen a
million
centipede.
legs.
They
in
don't
Colorado.
bother me. Millipedes do not bother me. It's the fact that centipedes, their legs all run at, like, they move at different speeds, and it's,
So it's both creepy, poisonous, and you're scared of it.
and they will just fall off of the ceiling.
Well,
just
you didn't say that.
fall.
You didn't say that earlier.
And they will chase you.
Man, where did you go to school in Chicago?
In Chicago?
But where? Like,
Oh, the Illinois College of Optometry.
were you like in downtown, like
No,
in a
I
ghetto
was-
apartment or something?
Oh,
If they're falling
well,
from
yeah,
you on the
I
ceiling.
was South Side.
Enough said. Enough said. I go to Chicago enough to know what the South Side is.
Close
yeah.
to
South Side's got some good food.
White Sox Stadium.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. You're familiar with Chinatown down there
Mhm.
with Rico Benny's and Carbone, the taco place. It's Chinatown, but you
Mhm.
can get a Italian Parmesan fried sandwich, or you can go to the taco place in Chinatown. Just go with it. What's your fear, dude?
Now you're gonna make fun of me.
Mine.
I did.
Oh,
finally-
because we didn't just spend 15 minutes to make it fun
well,
of
no,
us.
because mine's like very irrational. My like worst fear, and I finally got over it, was water slides.
Why?
See, I know you're laughing.
No.
You're laughing.
No, there's
I'm
a-
not
there's-
laughing.
I
If
can-
you're
I
listening to
can
the
under-
podcast, you can't catch that I'm laughing. If you're
I
watching
can
the video,
understand that.
No, but it's even worse because people are like, okay, now defend it. I'm like, I
how
can't.
high? But like big water slides are all
Any
slides.
water slides. Because my fear, and it's an irrational fear, is that the water would shut off while I was going down it.
But then it just turned to a
See,
slide.
I know that, but and one people are like, well, if it shuts off, you're still gonna have enough water to take you down. But I was afraid that I was just gonna get stuck, and just my back was just gonna run all the way down that plastic and just get torn up.
I mean, my back gets torn up on the plastic and normally.
With the water.
Yeah.
Right. So I was afraid like the water was gonna get shut off. I was gonna be stuck in this tube, either drown or as my back was just gonna be
Drown.
destroyed. Well, like all the water and like.
You can't even do the death roll at 6 inches
No.
of water. You're not going to drown.
I'm saying. Yeah, so like water slides are always so I finally 3 or 4 years ago I finally like actually like went on a water slide. I got a concussion, but
On the water slide?
yeah, because it was one of those where
Concussion.
okay, I have to clarify. It was one of those where you got to like kind of it's hard to visualize, right? So you kind of like jump into the tube and you go down it.
So, like, is it covered?
Yeah.
And
You
like,
jump into
You
it?
hold it and you jump
And you,
into
like,
it.
propel
Yeah.
yourself.
And so like me,
I got you.
I've never been in a water slide. So I didn't realize to keep your head up as you like kind of went down, right? So I jump in and immediately, of course, my body goes back, slam my head against the plastic, heavy plastic, and the whole ride down I'm blacked out.
And that,
And then you
that
land
got
in
you
a
over
pool
your
of water
I
at
landed
the
in a pool
bottom.
of water, come
And
back.
drowns. That's
Yeah.
why he's a fear of drowning now.
And I'm like, I did it. I don't remember it except for I slammed my head on the plastic. And then the next one, because I'm going to do it again, was one where you like propel yourself forward, right? So you get like a running
Is this
start.
like the same day you went
Same
for?
day.
And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go
went
down, like,
again.
face
I went
first?
again.
You obviously were
Yeah.
concussed.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. It was. And for our viewing and listening audience, it wasn't here in Colorado. It was an amazing amusement park called Dollywood in Tennessee.
Wait, something called Dollywood would be in Tennessee?
It is Splash Country, Dollywood Splash Country.
Okay.
I didn't know
And
there was a water park at
There
Dollywood.
there is, because it's the South, so you have to have water, or no one's going to go. But I understand, like we all live in Colorado, right? Now in Colorado,
People go for the racism. We could have like 5 minutes. It wasn't that funny, but no. I have to. So I.
but now
I
I'm
thought-
picturing it like, hey guys, we're going to Dollywood. Why? Because we're racist.
I meant the South, not Dollywood.
Oh,
The
okay.
South.
Oh, it's like, I figured like, kids, why can't we go to Orlando? Well,
Race.
because we're racist. We have to go to the South.
They go for the racism. You can't go to.
We go for the racism. We stay for Dollywood. Like, what? You're just making it worse.
That's the new South campaign.
Come for the
It's a marketing
racism.
campaign. Come for the
Stay for-
racism. Stay for the Dollywood. Oh, also beware crocodiles.
Oh my god. And anyway, like that was my favorite. But I did like that. I got over it. But as far as I
You got over it with getting a
yeah, because at that point I was like, well, if I don't die from getting a concussion
Okay.
in a water slide,
Okay.
I'm okay.
Well, I mean, people don't die from getting concussions in the NFL. So. Not
Well, I
till
mean,
at
I got
least,
a little
later.
CTE.
Like
you
CTE,
know,
yeah.
I mean, I
So,
definitely like.
we need to
I
keep
went
an
to
eye on you.
Dollywood, but then I left immediately because I hated it, and I went over to like Kings Island.
But you rode
it more-
another water park ride before you.
Oh yeah, I definitely. You know what? This is what I was saying, right? So in Colorado, I am a fat man in Colorado, right? I'm an obese person in Colorado.
Okay.
In Tennessee, I am skinny. I had no problem taking my shirt off at Dollywood Splash Country. I'm like, woo! My tattoos aren't as bad as some of those either. I was like, this is the greatest day of my life. I was like, I was like one of those where I'm gonna get like the kid's shirt where they have to like wear it for like the protection, the UV protection.
Yeah.
Medium.
I was gonna wear that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take my shirt off, and I, very like in the side, take my shirt off, and I look over. I'm like, oh wait, I'm skinny. So we came up with the term Tennessee skinny. I am Tennessee skinny. I'm Colorado fat, but Tennessee skinny.
You're also Colorado middle class, which that's
No.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, we are. Well, see, we were joking because I was like, oh, we're upper six figures. Me and my wife make upper six figures.
Upper six figures. He doesn't know what upper six figures.
No, because he's like, wait, you don't make like that. I'm like,
You don't
no,
make
no.
like
we-
$600,000 a year.
and I was like,
my
oh
bad.
no, I mean like 100 and something. Like I'm thinking like six figures is like 100,000, not like 500,000.
Because he
Yeah.
goes 199,999, 1 million. That's how he counts.
That was it. That was it. We now are in a new tax bracket. We own a condo. We're Colorado middle class.
See, Denver middle
But-
class is you own a condo. You don't even own a house yet.
But we're Tennessee
Yeah.
millionaires.
That's-
We're Tennessee millionaires.
That's even-
We can own a whole trailer park. We can own the
Tennessee?
entire thing. I feel like my family's gonna be very upset with me right now. Like,
That's all right.
how
That's all right.
dare
All
you
my
spit
family
on your
lives in the
upbringing?
South. All my family
We
lives in the
raised you
South.
racist and in a trailer park. And Dollywood is the great. You mentioned Kings Island. We don't drive to Ohio. We stay in the South.
What time are we at?
29 minutes. Even better.
Damn it, because food's here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off halfway, and later today, whatever this is,
I can't.
well, you won't be here. So he will mysteriously disappear for the second half of episode 207.5 of the Nerdcast, right? So this is
A and B?
part one.
Or-
Iggy,
One
since you
or
cut,
two.
cut it.
One
One or two.
or two.
This is good. This is a good view. Or do I
Yep.
look like the? I think is it recording now?
Yeah, it is.
So this is part two, and before we get into it, I want to figure this out real quick since we have a video component. So if you're picking this up on the podcast feed, where the majority of you do, head on over to projectnerd.live. So it's project-nerd.live, and that's our YouTube channel. Takes you straight there, and you can get this video. And I'm in the middle of the couch now, and I'm lounged back. But I don't know if it's the view of like, hey, he's lounged back, or is it that view? The pictures of the people that are like where you get like right up their face, and they've got that weird looking. Like
I'm not zoomed in that
When
far.
you open your
like
your
almost
camera
that
and
Kermit.
it's-
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Or that like the Kermit meme of where he's like, "Oh, fire" or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel so. It might have been weird for me lounging back that far. Anyways, this is episode 207 of the Nerdcast, part 2, brought to you by the Geek Garage. You're like, why the hell are you introducing a podcast halfway through? Because when this is done, it's all going to be edited together. Nobody's going to notice, except for the video watchers, because you're going to see a hard cut about halfway through. But the reason we had to do 2 parts is because we had to get rid of Kerry. I'm sorry, a water
wasn't
slide
working.
phobia. A water slide phobia is just too much. It's just too much, too much. All right, so we're back with Dr. Jess, but our
He was afraid of the water shutting off and then drowning in the pipe.
how can you be afraid of both? The water's going to be off, yet I'm still going to drown with no water.
Also,
like
it's just a slide. It's
I
a
don't get
slide.
it. So here's another thing too. Like I have a little bit of a fear of heights,
Okay.
and
I mean, that's
a
fair.
more common
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But for some reason, as long as I've been afraid of heights, I can go up on those massive water slides and do them because I just love water and I love slides. Like I mean, I love water slides.
I like those too. I actually have a little bit of a fear of heights also, but those slides.
the water
like,
slides are
it's
fine.
just like I think it's just like the adrenaline that just gets going, and
Well,
it's like ugh.
it's one of those things. Like if I'm gonna die, I might as well die in a water slide, right? Like it's.
Might as well die having fun.
I mean, there's a few other things that people often say they'd rather be doing when they die. Looking at you, camera. But water slide would be up there towards the top. So, anyways, Ryan.
As long as it was fast.
Well, a water slide would be fast, but I'm sorry because I was thinking about the few other things, and then you said that, and it just.
Sorry.
Anyways, Ryan is replacing Kerry right now. So Ryan is normally behind the camera. He hates getting in front of the camera.
Yep.
So again, if you're listening to the podcast audio only, please go watch the YouTube channel. Comment about how awkward it is to see him on camera, so he gets even more annoyed about himself being in front of the camera.
And then you'll never see me again.
Yeah, we got to
So
give each
sad.
other all a hard time. I mean, it's not. All right, actually, part of it is Kerry had to go on, move to another thing, and we are further into the film festival. Few interviews coming. Again, you can check those over on projectnerd.com or projectnerd.live. Some cool festivals coming out of here. We're at Asher Brewing in Boulder, having a good time. The last interview we did, you were here. You were there. Oh, I had a dream, and you were there, and you were there. We did.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we did. It was
The
the
Anheuser-Busch.
the Anheuser-Busch guy, Gene. He's the general manager. You weren't
no,
here
I
for it.
wasn't here.
Gene, you weren't here for it. No, Gene is the general manager of the Fort Collins brewery, the Fort Collins brewery for Anheuser-Busch. So the Fort Collins location brewery. So he mentioned they have 60-something breweries across the world, and they all
He's talking
compete
about they
internally.
produce like a third of the world's production of beer.
So we calculated because North America only do they do 100 million barrels of beer a year. 100 million barrels. You're just looking at me like that's no big deal.
No.
Like what?
So I watched a documentary on beer companies and like
Okay.
breweries, and a lot of the beer, and you probably already know this, but like even some of the like small name beer.
Is owned by the bigger guys?
Yeah.
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 So it's not like it's just Budweiser and it's just Budweiser itself, that name. It's probably all of.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up to talk about it. I'm glad you brought this because he mentioned it, we didn't do it on the interview part. So afterwards we mentioned, because I said I didn't want to bring that part up because people get really
Yeah.
weird about the big guys. They're
Yeah.
the evil people. I can't believe you shop on Amazon and all this stuff. Like it's the end of the world if you support corporate America. But to be honest, even Amazon, we have right here in Denver, we have a giant warehouse. Yeah, those employees aren't treated very well, but it's still we're funding jobs right here.
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch, as we just mentioned, he's in Fort Collins. It's not Denver, but it's the greater Denver community that has they've had that brewery there for a while. And then he talked about Breckenridge Brewery is now owned by Anheuser-Busch. They don't do anything differently. Breckenridge is still right here in
Well,
the
he was
area.
talking about, what was it, Goose
Goose Island was a great example.
And he was saying that was one of the first ones that they had.
I think he
had
mentioned
brought
like back in 2006, 2008, somewhere around there was the first
they
microbrewery they brought, or the craft brewery they bought.
Yeah, and he said that they spent, it was like 9 months, 10 months just trying to get the recipe right so that it matched perfectly what
Yeah.
they were producing, because
Oh, wow.
they were like, we won't put it out until it's an exact match. And then once we have that down pat, then we'll start distributing from our other breweries.
And I think that's huge
nice. Yeah.
because, and it's things we talk about with the big evil corporate. One, it's showing me.
It's going to change. It's going to taste different. And it's going to be terrible.
One, yeah,
right?
one,
It's
it's showing
just
me the
gonna be
efforts.
It's gonna be watered
more
down
of the
and-
same. Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
went through all these efforts to make sure it was exactly the same and that the customers didn't lose it, because that's your first thought is exactly all those things you were just saying. That's all you hear when you get in a conversation with somebody about that who's the naysayer on those.
Oh, it's going to change. It's going
And
to be
two-
terrible.
two
I
now-
remember that conversation with Breckenridge.
And two is Breckenridge here, Goose Island up in the Northeast. Well, the money's not coming back here anymore. Now it's going to wherever the Anheuser-Busch headquarters are. And I'm like, bitch, there's still jobs here. There's still jobs here. Like, I get it. I get to a degree in terms of it's not a local mom and pop anymore. But at the same time,
At the same
you're still
time, they're
funding
getting
employment.
farther reach, though.
Yeah.
A farther reach
Yeah.
than they could
So
before.
more employment even here at the local brewery then even, right?
Because okay, the money's going elsewhere, but it's also more money than they were making before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more so, is that office making more money than it used to, right?
Look,
Is that
I get we're patting Jeff Bezos' pockets, but let's be honest, his pockets are fat as hell anyways. So the point is the more you support Amazon, the more shipping centers they need, the more warehouse employees they have, so the more of them that can rise up and overthrow the company if they don't start treating them right, the better off they get, the more local jobs you
warehouse
have,
army.
and the benefits get better. Point being, just be lazy, order off Amazon, eventually it'll work itself out. Right?
nice?
Isn't that the end lesson in all this?
Just
Is that
pretend
where
like
we
it's
were
not
going?
happening.
Is that where we were going?
That was exactly
Is that where
where,
we- okay.
yes.
I thought that's where we were going. All right. Before we do move on, I do want to talk some current topics because that's what the Nerdcast is about. But you were behind the camera earlier when we were having this conversation, so we need your. And now that you're in front of the camera, your phobia.
My phobia?
Yeah. So we had centipedes, massive centipedes.
Yeah.
That she then photographs and puts walls of them on her, or pictures of them on her wall.
It's called
Art.
no, like negative. What is it? You know where you? I don't know.
Good
I
talk.
don't remember
Good
what
talk.
it's called.
Good
Yep,
talk.
Negative
yep.
reinforcement?
No, because that's not right.
Like, yeah.
No, it's there's a name for it, and I just can't think of it right now.
You'll remember it as soon as we stop recording.
Probably.
As soon as we stop recording. Mine was obviously crocodiles and alligators because that makes so much sense.
But one more than the other one.
Oh, crocodiles because they get
Okay.
much bigger.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
And Kerry's. Which
Have
we
you seen
mentioned
Crawl?
already. No. No. I mean, I'll watch it. It's a movie. Like I've seen Lake Placid and all. Those movies suck in the first place. It's not because there's crocodiles, but it's the animatronic. Like it's not. It's just the fear. The funniest point was ever was we were watching. Gosh, that was maybe Archer season 3 or so.
Oh,
when
the
they're in the
one
swamp.
with the Crocs, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they're in the swamp. Him and Alana are in the swamp, and they're walking through. And he goes, "I'm in the swamp with 3 of my biggest fears." And she goes, "3 of your biggest fears?" He goes, "Yeah, crocodiles, alligators, and brain aneurysms." She goes, "Brain aneurysms? They can happen at any time, Lana." But the thing is, what's funny is when we were watching Archer was back in the days when we were acquiring episodes, maybe not so traditionally. That's the wording I'm going to use. Not so traditionally. So we would watch it as a group. So we had friends over. So there was like 5 or 6 people over, and I've been very open about my phobia of crocodiles and alligators. So when that scene happened, everybody stops and looks at me
And
and
just looks
just
at you.
busts out laughing because they're like, "It's Iggy. It's Iggy in the swamp right there on the show." And then a friend of mine, shout out to Kanan, was like, "Well, I didn't know you were afraid of brain aneurysms too." And I'm like, "Well, now actually that you bring it up,
Oh, they're terrifying.
they can happen at any
They
time,
can,
Lana."
and you don't know, and then you're just dead, or someone else's.
Now I'm really scared.
But
Your phobia.
But you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
You'd just all of a sudden be dead.
Unless it was like
But I know
Unless it was a
now.
slow
someone, or
one.
someone
I know now
else.
that it's a
Oh, yeah,
possibility. I know now that it's a possibility.
You know
Didn't
what
know
I'm more
before?
afraid of?
Yeah, that's what we're
Well,
asking.
I'd
Actually,
be
that's
more
what we're
afraid
asking.
of the brain aneurysm happening to the bus driver or the pilot.
Oh, because it's the whole concept of when it's your time, it's
'Cause
your time.
he's
Well, what
God.
if it's the
What about
pilot's
me?
time, right?
But no, but then Final Destination.
Can you drive behind a truck with logs? Since Final Destination, I feel like people our age can't drive behind trucks with logs
Nope.
because of it.
I don't think I've
No.
ever even driven behind it.
In Colorado, you've never
Logs.
driven behind a truck with logs before?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, the deforestation's so far
I
that we
don't
don't
know.
even have trucks with logs anymore. Getting
I'm sure-
political.
I'm sure there's some out there.
There is. There
But
totally is.
There is.
And I don't even
Haven't-
care for those
Oh, no.
movies.
Okay, I
Okay.
saw
really
one
excited
time.
here.
No, I know, because one time I was driving and I saw a truck going this way with logs,
And nobody was
and
behind them.
one going this way
At the same time?
with logs. So like,
I like how she...
It's like
with
What-
logs.
what?
It's like, it's that, I'm going to say all of
there's
this.
logs going both directions.
So,
Why
like,
don't
why-
you just keep those logs
no,
over there and these
exactly.
logs over
Like,
here?
why?
Oh, I didn't even think
if
about
they
that.
need logs,
That's a good point.
and you're coming from that
Aren't
direction,
you-
then
But Denver needs New Mexico logs. New Mexico needs Colorado
okay,
logs,
okay,
right?
okay.
That's
yeah, they were
obviously-
probably different trees.
so you know when you look at a log cabin and they're like different color each log. So it's like a Colorado log, New Mexico log, Colorado log, New Mexico log, right? So that's why they were setting half of them down and half of them up,
oh, okay.
so they can make
okay.
more log cabins that are different because it
Okay.
adds to the look.
Alternating colors.
Yeah, the alternating it makes it look better. Okay.
Okay,
You,
sorry.
you
Yeah,
are
your
doing a
turn.
great. Actually, I'm doing a
avoiding.
great job. I'm just off
You're
the
just
rails.
talking.
Yeah, this is what I do. You're supposed to tell us your phobia.
My phobia? Well, it's a kind of a weird one, but it's
That's why we're talking
Water
about it.
slides?
Yeah.
Is it as weird as water slides?
No,
Okay.
no. It's honestly, it's mental illness. The losing my mind.
Dude, that's not a weird one at all.
No,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have,
'Cause,
like
like-
especially nowadays. Like
Well, it
it's
runs
more
in my
prevalent,
family,
yeah.
so that's even
Yeah,
scary.
It's one of those things. It's like because I'm obsessed with just acquiring information. I just love learning new stuff. It doesn't matter. Like
yeah, because
I
you do
learn-
everything.
'cause I do everything.
Hey,
But
I really would like to do this, and then he's like, "Hey, I know how to do that." No matter what I say.
and hence how I got involved with Project Nerd.
True story. True story.
With the video editing. But yeah, it's one of those things that I love learning new stuff. I'm like, if there's something that I use every day, day in and day out, and I'm like, I don't know how that works, I go in and I look it up because I'm obsessed with information. And so the idea of losing my memory or losing my mind is kind of...
So I'm gonna go straight to
Scary.
Alzheimer's with this because
Yeah.
like that's the most obvious one.
it's more
Is that
than
a thing
one,
in your
but
family?
Alzheimer's-
Is that a
No.
Okay,
No,
'cause-
not really.
So, I mean, that's not too bad,
There's
'cause
some
more-
dementia in my family, but
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's bad too. But that one is not shown. Alzheimer's is more and more they're
but it's
learning
not
of it.
super prevalent in my family.
Right.
So
Because dementia, I don't know if they've really linked it to hereditary or anything. With Alzheimer's, it's a chromosome They've linked it to a chromosome deformation, at least in many people, which is a hereditary thing, the chromosome deformation. So that's why they're starting to see a lot of families to where it's becoming a very common thing from generation to generation. And I'm watching it happen down my family right now. And it's a thing. And not to overtake this conversation, even though I overtake every conversation.
that's just
But it's not just that. There's a lot of things in my family, and you were around about a year and a half ago when all the weird health stuff was really at the height for me.
yeah.
And it was the fear of my family has a big history of early onset Parkinson's and early onset MS, and that became a huge fear of mine at that moment because we were doing all these tests for it because I had all these symptoms. And it's the same idea, not so much mentally, but it was the same idea of losing control of my body physically at such a young age. That's a scary thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
Yeah.
It's a phobia, so the answer stands. You're allowed to keep it, but you are. we respect you more than we respect Kerry's water slide thing because that's a legitimate thing. Like to
Yeah.
lose your mind is a scary thing. To
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
to know the problem is so many, especially with Alzheimer's and dementia. There's times where you come to, so you know it's happening.
Mhm.
Like the last person that
Moments
my
of
family was
clarity,
doing,
yeah.
my grandfather knew what was going on, and he would have those moments of clarity and talk about it. And it's like, man, that's even scarier to know that he at times in his life is very aware of what's going on. We have an audience member roaming in here right now. This is
saw a
super
dog
exciting.
earlier.
Up.
I kept looking over there, and
This
I
is
was
just
like,
a dog that just roamed in here by itself. Like it's super just checking stuff out. I'm super excited about it.
By the way, we're hanging out here at Asher Brewing Company, and they are pet friendly, so we're seeing all sorts of dogs coming
We
around
are.
here,
because
hanging
it's
out.
Boulder.
Yep, it's Boulder.
So,
Cool little place.
he was just watching the podcast.
He's all right.
There we go. All right. So,
Aw.
it's very funny. So, no, I shouldn't say that on the podcast. But now, like, I have to because I said I shouldn't say it on the podcast, right?
I mean, it can be edited out.
So I text. No, I'm not gonna edit this out. We're gonna lose anybody who listens to us in Boulder. The more and more people started showing up to the brewery, it's the Boulder type because it's the brewery. They're not here for the film festival. They're here
They're
also
here
for the
for the-
brewery, right? Because
yeah.
they come here every Saturday. But it's very Boulder type people. So I was like, I sent him a message and was like, the more and more Boulder people that show up, the more and more uncomfortable I get because this is not my. And I'm talking really quietly about it for some reason.
He wants the video to get it, but he doesn't want anybody to
I don't want
overhear our
anybody out
conversation.
there to hear me. But when this podcast released next week, I definitely want the podcast to hear me. And now she's getting photo evidence of it. So what I'm talking about is not actually what I'm talking about. Just kidding. Just kidding.
She's like, okay.
All right. But no, that's totally a legit phobia, dude. Like and now like I'm actually like worried about it for myself because you brought it up. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Good job. But it's a good
welcome.
one. I think these are fair. I mean,
I don't have really any like what do you call it? Just the
Irrational.
irrational.
No.
That's
Well,
the word
I
I'm
mean,
thinking of.
I don't think
Yeah.
all of
'Cause-
us were irrational.
No.
Here. I'm sorry. Crocodiles are a real thing, and they are
Yes,
really
but not in
dangerous
Colorado unless you lean too far over the fence at the zoo.
thing. Am I always in Colorado? No, I travel.
True.
I've been to Florida recently. Okay. I
Yep.
don't know. We're good. Anyways, okay. So those are
What
our
about-
phobias
What about what bugs you the most in like horror films and stuff like that?
that they suck. That they-
Well, no, like things that happen. So for me in particular, because I, play guitar, small joint.
See, he does
injuries,
everything. He
like
just
cutting
does.
fingers off and toes off and stuff like
when
that.
they
or
remove
when
the
they're-
nails,
yeah.
when they like
Oh
go.
no. No.
Yeah.
See ya.
Oh.
I knew that'd get him.
No. That's the no. I don't. The nails coming off. Also, I don't. And we talked
you
about
didn't
this last
like the
time because you're an
fly,
eye
did you?
doctor. I don't like the touching the eyeball stuff.
Yeah.
So like anything that was new, I can't even remember
Except
what.
it's all wrong. All of it is wrong.
But I can't remember what movie it was. But I
like
can
that.
always see
A
the scene of the needle going in the eye.
right straight.
It
yeah,
can't
no,
go through the lens.
No,
no.
it can't. It can't go through.
Wait, it can't.
Okay.
You can't just. I feel like I
Have
could
you-
stab through
did
somebody's
you,
eye.
Did
No,
you
you
never
could.
dissect
You
an
could.
eye in like high school?
I'm not
biology?
touching. No, have we not just discussed that I don't like touching eyeballs?
So-
Not just my eyeballs, any eyeballs.
Okay, so the lens is thicker. It's a little bit like harder. It's
I feel like a good thrust with the knife
no,
could
and
get
it
through
would.
there.
It would. But the thing is that
disconnect it from the muscles first and just push it rather than.
so there's
actually
only
go through.
tiny little
And I'm not
fibers
talking
that
in mic, of
hold the
course.
lens in place. Okay, they're not strong. If you mess with the lens, you're going to end up ripping all of those. They're called zonules. Also,
Getting an education.
yes,
Getting a lesson here.
if you take a needle and you go, regardless of the lens, take the lens out. Even if the lens isn't there, if you go through the center of someone's vision or someone's eye,
See, I'm
you're
picturing it right now.
risking infection to their whole eye.
I don't
and you're
think they're
gonna-
worried
no,
about infection if
no,
they're
but see-
poking
If
somebody in
it's
the
a
eye in a
horror
horror
But
movie.
see, okay, but the thing is that you're going right through their center of vision. So then you're risking their line of sight and their clarity of vision because
Right,
you're
'cause it
putting
could heal
something
with a
right
scar.
through. Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got
and
just a-
infection and all of that stuff. So no needle ever goes straight
But
in.
I don't think Saw. Or we're talking about these like bad guys doing this shit.
So no, I know.
I don't think there were. I don't want to leave you with an infection, so can you look to the side so I can
But
stab
even-
through the side of your eye? Thank you.
Fair.
Thank you. By the way, if you solve this before I get the needle all the way through your eye, you're free. You can walk out there. Remember, I'm the dead guy in the middle of the room. Spoilers.
Saw was amazing.
It sucked.
Oh my gosh, I loved
I'm
it.
not like I'm not going to
the,
be
the
one of those.
first one was
No.
probably the best of
Well,
any
yeah.
of it. It just
It was
progressively got
different.
worse.
It
and
was
worse.
different. I'll give it that. So the first one was
It
different.
was more gore than horror.
And I'm not going to sit here and
I wouldn't
pretend.
agree with the first one. I would say the second one.
I never
for
saw the
sure.
second one.
Yeah.
The second one, garbage. The first one, amazing.
I thought that's what you just said.
personally
She said she
like,
wouldn't agree with you, and then she just agreed with you.
No, he said the first one was mostly like a lot of gore, and I don't think the first
Oh,
one
you don't
was
agree
a
with
lot
the
of
gore part. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know what you meant. Because he said the first one's the best, and you're like,
No,
well,
no, no, no.
I disagree.
I was
I would
disagreeing
say
with
the
the
second
gore.
one is
Progressively.
garbage.
I would.
and the
I
first
was
one's
disagreeing
great.
with the gore part because
Okay.
compared to the later ones, it's not very
Pretty
gory.
tame.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's very, very.
Well, I
tame.
think
Well,
movies
'cause
in
they
general
just kept
gotten more
cranking
gory,
it
too.
up.
Oh, I know.
and then start.
How much
We
time did we
lost
lose?
We're
like
out of time.
30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
While we
We
were
just lost our
posing.
posing for the photographer, so we didn't lose any of our saw talk. Perfect.
Well, some of it probably. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What's your photography brand? We can shout it out on the podcast. What is it? Crush Media.
Crush
Go find
Media.
Crush Media online. There we go. We'll let them know.
Awesome.
To all of our 3 listeners. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom,
Oh,
for
it's more than
subscribing to
3
Crush Media. Thanks, Mom. Okay, so, and I don't like to be. I hate it when people do this. So I'm preluding with that. I'm going to do something that is annoying, and I get it, and you're like, ugh, when I say this. But Saw was predictable. Within the first so many minutes, it's the guy in the middle of the floor. The guy laying in the middle of the floor. Like it was easy to figure out.
I mean, maybe. I don't really remember.
So-
I don't remember the first time I watched it. Like
So,
what I
hold on,
saw.
so hold on, hold on, hold
But
on,
is,
hold on.
was that more of a hindsight 2020?
No, it was
after
the first
fact?
time I
You're-
watched it. I've
you're-
only watched it once.
Oh,
I don't. First of all, so
See,
I don't
I
like
think-
horror movies. I don't like them because I think they're not good. Now I loved A Quiet Place. I loved
Quiet Place was
A
great.
Quiet Place was great. These are more. I love suspense. I don't like horror movies because I don't like movies that set you up for it's coming and then try to do the jump scare. Or I don't like
cheap-
the
yeah.
the cheap
cheap
jump
thrills,
scare.
yeah.
Or I don't like the excessive gore, which a lot of horrors come to nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
So for
That
me,
really happened a lot with the Saw, with the Hostel movies.
right? It's all gore.
There was like for a time period there, it was just that was the thing. For horror, it was more gore than horror.
So I hate to. So I say I don't like horror, but when I say I don't like horror, The Exorcist is great, Shining is great,
Yeah.
Quiet Place.
Speaking
These suspenseful ones, right? I like suspense. I like ones that have a build up and a really good story. Like Exorcist is the only horror movie to be nominated for Best Picture because of it. I mean, it's a really good movie when you break it down. The Shining psychologically is just a really complex, great movie,
it is.
right? And Stanley Kubrick's a phenomenal director. But my point is, I don't like those other things. So when somebody's like, "You have to watch this," you're never gonna. And maybe part of it is that the build up for when I do finally watch horror movies, it's because somebody's built it up so much for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
one, that kills
yeah.
it. But two, the multiple people that were selling me on Saw were like, "You're never gonna. It's amazing. There's such a twist at the end."
See,
So
but
what
then
you go
were
in and
already
look
set up.
exactly.
You were already
See,
set
that's
up,
what I'm
whereas
admitting.
I don't
Waiting
think I
for the
was set up
twist.
that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was admitting to that
somebody-
right now. I was looking. I knew there was a
Yeah,
twist.
so you were looking.
So I
whereas
immediately
when
went in and
I
said, "Okay."
went in, I don't think I really knew much about
It's
it.
like it's like Shyamalan movies. You know there's going to be a twist, so it ruins it for you.
Shyamalan. I don't know.
Shyamalan?
I don't know his name. They are like it's hard. You know what's crazy though? I'm going to tell you what. The least spoiled movie in the history of the world, The Sixth Sense. My son is 15 and he still doesn't know the plot of The Sixth Sense. I think everybody who has ever seen that movie just came to the realization, because how many times are you in a conversation when you meet somebody who hasn't seen The Sixth Sense, and there's like it's like we'll say it's a group of 6 people and 5 have seen it and 1 hasn't. What do the 5 people do? They go, "Oh, well, oh no, wait, you just have to see it. You have to see it because if I say anything, it's going to
Yeah.
give it away."
Yeah.
You do that every time you talk about it to
Yeah.
somebody who hasn't seen it, and then it made me realize, wow, that is probably the least spoiled movie in the history of movies.
How long has that been around now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but kids don't know. Like, my son can tell you the ending to 100 movies that he should probably not know the ending to. And, like, Debbie Does Dallas, I don't know. Like, some of these movies that he should not know the ending to. And that was a porn joke, sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm from Dallas, so everybody knew what Debbie Does Dallas was down there. But but he has no clue what the end of Sixth Sense. And so it got me thinking. I'm like, that's crazy. It's probably like the least spoiled movie, especially in a world right now to where you get on like
Oh yeah.
you get on 15 minutes after a TV show's aired and it's already spoiled
Oh, yeah.
that for you.
I mean,
On
it's
the
all
internet.
over Facebook.
When I say
it's
you
all
get
over-
on
there's-
the internet,
yeah.
thank you. I get on. You get on what?
Get on
I
what?
put on my
The
shirt.
horse?
I put on my shirt. Get on
James.
the horse, and the horse goes, "Hey, did you see that episode of Game of Thrones just aired?"
Oh.
I'm like, "Whoa, Mr. Ed. Whoa, Mr. Ed."
But anything anymore, like especially with all the tracking and the targeted ads and everything like that. Like you look at your
Yeah, it's not
like,
just
We have
people.
the same phone. We both have the Pixel 3, and that
Me
when you flip
too.
all the
I
way,
have the, I have the
so all three
Pixel
of us.
2. I have the
Oh,
Pixel.
he's still on the 2.
Wow. Wow.
But when you flip all the way over
The
and you
shun
get
for that.
that news feed of
Oh, yeah.
So you
because
still have that
it's-
on the Pixel 2, yeah.
Yeah, and you're scrolling through, and I keep seeing things, because it's stuff that I've looked up, and I'm like, okay, Mayans MC. Nope, not reading that article. I'm not caught up. You know?
Oh,
It's
for
like-
sure. I have to unfollow certain shows because the shows that still aired in real time, like I still wait till their seasons are done because I am 100% into that binge watching culture. I'm
Oh, yeah.
100% into it. There are very few shows. Game of Thrones, obviously, I had to, and you have to watch that in real time, or you're
Oh,
not.
yeah.
you're-
You're not going.
You're
yeah.
gonna run into
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
gonna spill the beans.
So that one I watch in real time, and then I used to watch we used to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine in real time, or at least not in real time the day after when it would drop to Hulu, but still weekly, I guess
Yeah.
the way to put it. Everything else, if it's weekly, Preacher's a great example. That's a weekly show that I love that I still wait till it's dropped. So actually now I bring it up. I think it was Preacher that while it was airing the one season, and exactly I scrolled over to that news thing, and you like I said, it targets what you've looked
Yeah.
and
Yep.
finds your thing,
Yep.
and so it started showing Preacher.
Because
and
it goes based off of, since you're logged into Chrome and you're doing your Google search and everything, it's tracking everything you're searching.
Right.
Because
Yay
you're
for
like, oh wait,
tracking.
who is that? Who is that actor that I really like that showed up in this episode?
That's why I
And
won't
then
Google certain things
immediately-
now.
Yeah.
Because
'Cause
you
it-
don't.
No, when we were talking about like at work the other day, a group of us, and they said, well, how like something about something said, and I feel like it might have been related to like STDs or something too, and I was like, I'm not the one
Not
putting that in the
gonna
Google.
be put that in
because I'm not dealing with the Facebook ads for all that medication, and I don't want Facebook pulled up on my computer. Or somebody walks up on me and works like, oh, so you are you have that ad for medication pulled up right there for that. Cool.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like
do it.
I don't know if you guys have seen. So it started off as a guy named Brian Brushwood. He's a magician, and he had a YouTube channel that was originally called Scam School, and he'd go to the bars and
Okay, yeah.
and do like magic tricks and do things like puzzles and stump you type stuff, bar bets, to get people to buy him a drink. And it was more of like, hey, I'm going to entertain you. Will you bet me a drink if I can do this.
God, I wish I
Anyways.
could entertain people enough to get free drinks.
Yeah, and he's from Texas too, so you should look him up. But
So you don't know him? He's from Texas.
yeah, well,
It's a very big state.
How don't you know
it
him?
is a very
I'm looking at it right now on this map here.
culturally.
It is big.
All right. Yes, I get it. Okay. Anyways,
Actually,
so
I met him once from Texas.
Yeah. You know.
Because we were both from Texas. Right?
Anyways, later on, the channel evolved, and then he started another channel with one of his friends, and they call it the Modern Rogue, and they constantly do all sorts of stuff, just how to survive certain things, how to improvise certain things, and they constantly talk about. The NSA is probably watching me for all the stuff that, like, how do you make improvised, like, flash grenades, flashbang grenades, and stuff like that? Because they do just all sorts of random stuff, improvised weapons and things like that, but also survivalist stuff. And they're constantly talking about, we need to, VPN while I'm searching and block all this stuff. And I tell you what,
As they
have a
talk about it on
VPN
their
at
public
home.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I need a
Yeah.
VPN while I'm searching it, but I'll talk about it on my public YouTube channel.
And here's how you do it.
Here's
But
that,
if you
right?
think about it, when you're just searching it in Google, there's no context.
Well, and two, for those that aren't familiar, the NSA does not have people that sit there and watch it, but there is, ever since the Patriot Act, there is the rights for them to comb searches. So for computers to AI to comb things that are happening on
To
the internet,
target certain
so it
things.
can pull certain words from things and then start specifically tracking that certain, as you mentioned, IP address or that certain access or login, right? So it isn't a person saying, "Oh, I know that person is that YouTube channel, so I know this is whatever they're doing." It's just it catches that word
Yeah.
Exactly.
and then now puts it onto a list. Yeah.
And if you're constantly looking stuff like that up, all of a sudden it's like, well, this person
Yeah.
last week was looking up, how to get out of handcuffs, and this week they're looking at how to make an improvised
like kinky
weapon
sex,
that like how to make a 3D print a gun that'll
Really kinky sex.
Yeah. And so if you just look at the Google searches, that's like, this is a dangerous person. But then you see the YouTube channel and it's like, this stuff happens, this is how it happens. Don't go home and do this yourself, but this is how people...
That's fair.
Yeah. And then there's context to it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair. I am very careful about my Google search now because of all this stuff. Look, I am totally. I've got the Google speaker. I've got my phone ready. Like if I say the words HEY Google, like then my phone, probably y'all's phones, will just go.
all
you're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
bars are
You're
gonna
right.
go
Yeah.
off.
They're gonna go off. I've got the Amazon Echo, which I'm super excited for the Samuel L. Jackson voice to come to here
Oh, yeah.
soon.
That'll be cool.
with swearing. And I've got all this stuff.
Oh, it's
in my-
got swearing?
Yeah, you're allowed to
Oh,
put on the explicit
nice.
mode too. Yeah, so excited for this. I'm so excited. This is the reason I got a smart speaker. It's because I knew eventually, because we saw the Garmins do it. I was actually leaning towards the Star Wars because we had the Darth Vader and Yoda Garmin.
Do you know the Easter eggs on Alexa for Star Trek stuff?
No,
Yeah.
for Star Trek stuff. No.
Yeah. Ask Alexa. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Oh, so if you say certain quotes,
if
it'll-
you
yeah.
say certain things, or like fire photon torpedoes.
yeah, right, okay,
Or-
yeah,
And you can
yeah.
set your wake word instead of Alexa or Echo. You can set it to computer, which is
Yeah.
what I've done because the TV is constantly, you get an Alexa ad and
Yeah.
it says Alexa, and then
Well,
it
it
cues
filters
off.
most of those now, though. It's smart enough to filter a lot of those. Ads.
Yeah, it's gotten better about that. Yeah.
Um,
But now I'm going to be like, hey, computer, what's this? And then it's going to be Samuel L. Jackson.
I said, does your TV look like a bitch? No, I can't. Oh, yeah, I am so excited for that now. The more I'm thinking about it. But anyways, NSA, don't listen to us. I don't know. Okay. We're coming close to the end of our episode, so the Nerdcast is more of a weekly pop culture podcast. If you guys are checking us out on the feed, obviously this type of stuff you can always catch on I'm Not Famous, where Kerry and I usually host various people. Just the last episode actually was Dr. Jessica. She joined us on that episode. So fun. I would tell you which episode's next for that, but I don't remember off the top of my head. So anyways, so I'm going to pop up a few things that have happened this week. If y'all don't know what it's not you're really into, it's cool. I'll just make fun of you. But otherwise, we'll move on. So this week that happened in the geek world, as we saw MCU and Disney, or MCU is Disney, excuse me, MCU and Sony made up a little bit, and they're going to do a third Spider-Man movie while Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, will continue to be the MCU, but he's also now allowed to be in the Sony Spider-Verse that they've been creating. So, like with the animated Spider-Man and Venom and everything like that.
Ooh.
So, some interesting news that happened
Okay.
there.
I heard isn't he being a different superhero?
No, they were making a joke about it when
okay.
the story
That was all it
goes.
was.
The story goes is
I
that
didn't read anything.
so basically, the independent Spider-Man movies, Disney got a 5% cutoff for the Sony movies.
Yeah.
Right, and that allowed them to help, but they helped produce it. Like Kevin Feige, who makes all the MCU stuff, he doesn't make it; he oversees it all. He kind of is I want it to work like this. You go make it happen type person, right? So Spider-Man got into that mix to where he said, "Okay, Sony, I want you to do this with it because it's also going to tie into our universe." They only got 5% of it. So when they said going forward, we want 50%, and Sony's like, screw, we're not giving you half the money this movie makes, right? And it's fair enough. The internet explodes, the world goes wild. All in all, and I don't know where the number settled. I assumed what was going to happen is what they'd settle probably somewhere in between 20 to 30% or something. I don't know if that's exactly what happened because they haven't talked financials with what the settlement was. But again, they did make up whatever. The coolest thing about it is that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be the first superhero that's going to be able to expand across 2 cinematic universes. So the Spider-Verse
That's exciting.
that Sony runs is separate than the MCU, and his character is going to be allowed to be in both. And so that's going to be really
That's really
interesting.
cool.
So it's going to be great for fans, too, because I think it's going to help that Spider-Verse grow because the animated Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
It was
Awesome.
amazing.
Yeah,
it was
it was
amazing.
Loved
fantastic.
it. And I love the animation in it too,
Oh,
it's
especially
so
the way that they
cool.
took it and they got the classic, dot matrix look
Yeah.
to it.
And almost like 3D, like you had to be wearing 3D
Fun fact,
glasses.
Miles Morales, throughout that, at the beginning of it,
I saw
you've seen this?
that, yeah.
So his
Different
frame rate was half of
Oh.
what the other heroes were. So that's why at times earlier in the movie he looks a little bit more. The animation even looks a little
Okay.
off.
Okay.
And as he learns what he's doing and catches up with them in terms of powers and abilities, they increase the frame rate.
That's really cool.
And so it
And
really
then-
adds to the feel of it because when you look back, you're
It
like,
almost feels
oh,
jittery
It felt,
and
he,
like
yeah,
it
he felt more
feels
jittery. He
awkward.
felt
Yeah.
different. He felt exactly
And-
really cool thing to
yeah,
do.
that
Really
was
cool
awesome.
thing.
That's very cool.
So, anyways, so Tom Holland could be voicing an animated version of his character in a future animated Spider-Man movie, or very likely what's going to happen is in the next Venom or Sinister Six movie that's in production, you could see his character show up as well. So, really cool news that happened there. Other news, I love one of my favorite things ever. You know this, BoJack Horseman. Fantastic.
I don't watch it.
So great. Season 6 trailer just dropped. They're going to drop, it's the final season, dropping in 2 parts in October and the second half in January. So good. Season 5 ended in a thing, and Season 6 picks up right after it. Dude, that show, there will be episodes that finish where I'm in tears laughing so hard because it is so funny. And there are episodes that finish where I'm in tears thinking, why am I even alive? World sucks. This is it. It is gut-wrenching. It is a real take on it. And as always, you can go over to projectnerd.com and check out our article series called Breaking Down BoJack. It's fantastic. There's some episodes. One of my favorite episodes still is the one where women are feeling empowered, so they start carrying more guns. So Diane, who's one of the main characters, writes an article about getting to shoot a gun, and it's funny because she fast forwards. She's like, why is this gun still in my hand? Because she hated guns and all this. So guns start becoming a thing, and women are carrying guns everywhere. So you get shots, just background shots of the city, and women are walking around with giant rifles and all this stuff. And then they start interviewing men, and there's white men that are like, you don't understand what it feels like. I can't walk down the street by myself at night. You don't understand what it is to
Totally
be this
flips it
afraid.
on his
It
head.
totally flips it. But
Oh.
what's best is that the show goes even further, and they're like, oh, women are carrying guns now? So what does the state do? They pass a law to restrict guns. And it's Diane at the end goes, well, it's nice to know that your hate for women far outweighs your love for guns. And then there's the abortion one where they do the news article series on it, or they do the news show of it, and it goes, and to discuss this important topic, I've put together a panel of diverse white men wearing bow ties. And it's 3 white guys all in bow ties, and the one guy goes, would I put my life on hold for a child I wasn't expecting? Yes, I would. And I can say that without a doubt, knowing that I will never have to make that decision. So I was like, this is so great. It's so real at
Very
times.
meta, too.
It's
Yeah.
so real at times. It's fantastic. And a great take on mental health as well. I think that's why I love it. But Season 6 is coming soon, so we'll probably have a lot of coverage on that, as well as what we love at Project Nerd. Letterkenny got the trailer for their new season that also drops in October. to be fair, you can't go to a convention without Letterkenny quotes coming from the Project Nerd team. Also happening this week was some cool things. I think we had a few people share some awesome news articles on the site. So just head over to projectnerd.com. I'm not going to dive into each one because obviously I dive way too far into it because I went on about BoJack for like 10 minutes. Anyways, this has been fun, guys. I really had fun this episode. I think it was good.
Yeah.
And I'm happy we replaced Kerry with you, to be honest. Like, it was much better. I mean, waterside phobia is a little bit awkward. But as always, your comments are welcome. Head on over to projectnerd.com, projectnerdpodbean.com, wherever you find Project Nerd Podcast. That includes Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, The Works. And leave us comments on what your phobia is and what you're feeling about all the news, obviously, that's happening. As always, check out the new projectnerd.com. We have a brand new site. Looks great. Love it. Digging it. And, of course, Project Nerd's Nerdcast is brought to you by geekgarage.com. So Geek Garage, awesome geek vehicles. They got... I didn't know there was this many people that own Jurassic Park Jeeps. Like, there's tons of them on there. And they're all individually numbered, too, so they have different
Oh, wow.
series. Like, you would see them on the island, because there'd be multiple Jeeps on the
Yeah.
island with the different... And I'm like, this is really cool.
Oh, wow.
I need a Jurassic Park Jeep in my life. I feel like that's a thing. I don't know. If you could get... Okay, before we close. We usually close with a final thought. So, you could get one movie-themed vehicle. So, like a...
Ooh.
It doesn't even have to be a vehicle from the movie, which it obviously can be, but something that's themed towards a movie. And you gotta be quick on it because we're running low on
Tron.
time. Ooh, a Tron, like the...
The
Tron
The
bike?
bike.
Oh, that's pretty dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that. That's it.
And have it light up.
Yeah.
Would you want to leave a light trail too? Like
That'd be amazing.
That would
That'd
be
be
awesome.
very cool.
cut people off that pissed you off and then just run right into it. All right, what do you got?
But then they could follow me.
That's true.
You can turn it off and on.
Okay.
Well, ever since I was a kid, Top Gun was my favorite movie for the longest time, so had to be a F-14.
Oh, just okay.
Yeah.
Going straight. I mean, as costly as that could be, that's very possible. You can. They have those out there in the real world. I don't like. I kind of like keep it simple. I think the original, the 1966 Batmobile, pretty dope.
Oh, nice.
Or the Mach 5 from
Nice.
Speed Racer. Those would be
Ooh, yeah.
pretty legit looking cars. Because you could, I mean, they would look street legal, could ride street legal, but they'd have that geek theme going to them. If they weren't such actual shitty cars, because, sorry, they really are shitty cars, but the DeLorean
Oh
would
yeah,
kind of
I was
fall
gonna
Oh,
say
yeah.
the DeLorean. Yeah,
But
would
they
be-
fall apart. That's why they
Well,
got
yeah.
discontinued so quickly. But
You just have it and you never drive it.
you would have
Yeah,
to.
pretty much.
I mean, unless you were going to the
I saw a
future.
DeLorean on the road about a month and a half ago.
Really?
I did, yeah.
They had one at Denver Pop Culture Con.
So
How much? You have to
well,
do
you're the
all
one
your
who
whole
at
extra.
at the 30-minute mark,
extra.
you were starting to like, hey, let's wrap this up. Here we are
Took me
at
12 minutes to
42
wrap it.
minutes.
All right.
So don't sit here and sigh
This,
at me.
I love that whoever's the audio portion more so. The video, there'll be hard cuts, so you'll see it go to the next part, right? The people listening to this on our podcast feed, which is going to be nice. So we have like, there'll be like,
You do realize we're taking the audio from the video.
I know,
so-
but that's what I'm going to get to. So
Oh.
there's going to be like 30 people that watch the video. There's going to be 22,000 people that listen to the audio only, and they're going to be like, and then the Boulder, and it just stops, and then you're going to hear, and they're going to be like, what is going on there? Anyways, my fault. It is 100% my fault, because I forgot the HDMI cords to hook up the Ninja,
I've got this
so we're
right.
recording straight to the camera, which DSLRs have a certain time limits to avoid certain taxation in Europe, because camcorders get taxed differently than cameras. Whole mess.
Oh.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
It's a weird
It's
thing.
annoying.
So
Yeah.
every 20 minutes it cuts, and that's why there's going to be some weird cuts in this episode. So if you've made it this far through the couple weird cuts
Good
and
for
haven't been
you.
like, I'm picturing that Jackie Chan meme where he's like, what the, like, you know, that's what I'm picturing our audience listening to. Anyways,
I'm
let's
not
wrap.
editing this one.
Right. Well, I'm not editing it either. I'm just going to throw the 3 pieces together that we have. Or 4 pieces at this point. I don't know. Anyways, Project Nerds, the Nerdcast, Asher Brewing Company, Boulder Film and Brew Festival, part of another amazing event from Colorado Festival Productions, Dr. Jessica, Chris Ryan Rogers, myself, Iggy, all coming at you from all those things I just told you. Anyways,
That was
I think
nice
it's time to
sign-off.
wrap this up, guys.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Till episode 208 of Nerdcast. Same nerd time, same nerd channel. Catch you next week.